USC offensively, that they're going to be a problem. They are going to be a problem.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. The Odd Coaches Podcast can be seen on YouTube, Spotify, Podbeam, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts. And with me today is our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, how are you on this taping day?
Let's go, man. Living the dream as always.
All right. So on this Throwdown Thursday edition, segment one, gonna go around the territories. A lot to talk about. Segment two, we're going to talk to you about Colorado fans. We're not mad at anything. We're very happy, but we're going to break these things down. And also, there's some other things that came up, and I don't want to set it up in the opening, but we'll definitely talk about it. In segment three, we'll talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only and get you ready for week three. But first, ACC, good win for Miami over Texas A&M. A lot of cupcakes this week. UNC, Virginia, and BC, you have bad showings, but Virginia gets a pass the entire year. Hey, Florida State, the floor is yours. You've got opportunity in front of you. And the current top teams, Florida State, Duke, Miami, and yes, Clemson is still one of the top teams. Robert, any insight on the ACC, or let's keep it moving?
Well, I'll tell you the wailing and gnashing of teeth from Aggie Nation's 12th man is going to be drowned out only by Big 12's Texas Longhorns, and the eyes of Texas are upon you. That's it was an interesting day in Texas football social media it was an interesting night last night.
All right. And we will pop by them as we go across the country. In the American, Rice looked good against Houston. That kind of irritated me because I had Houston minus 7.5. Charlotte looked good against Maryland, and then reality set in, but recruiting helped. Tulane blew an opportunity. Sorry, you only get but so many opportunities to make a difference. I don't have anybody in the American as a top team right now. Any thoughts on the American, Rob?
I agree with you, Tulane. That's a missed opportunity for them, big time.
Yeah. All right, Big 12. Texas, you are officially on the college football playoff radar. Congratulations. Texas Tech and Cincinnati, good showings. Baylor's 0-2. What's going on with that?
And I'll tell you what, that's a bad loss.
Both of them are bad losses.
Well,
they lost to Texas State.
You give up. I mean, they gave up two. They were gonna win that game 13-6, and the only thing they couldn't do was turn the ball over, and threw a pick, and that was that. That was that. Wind came out of the sails, and that was that.
And why is Houston looking bad? I mean, what are y'all doing over there, man? That guy's not going to make it long if he keep losing games like this.
I don't know.
And current top teams, Texas, Kansas State, and Oklahoma. So there you go with the Big 12. Big 10, the Big 3 kept winning. Who are the Big 3? Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Everybody else, you're just kind of hanging around, and we'll cover you, but, it's out of politeness. A bad loss for Wisconsin. Purdue got my upset over Virginia Tech in probably one of the longest games in the history of the world due to the weather update. Maryland, I'm sorry, you did not impress against Charlotte. Don't let them breathe, man. Don't let them breathe. And we'll talk about Mel Tucker in segment 2, but how do you lose $90 million? You do what Mel Tucker is alleged of doing. Current top teams, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and the boringest team in the top 25, Iowa. And yes, Robert told you to take the under. Robert, anything about the Big 10, sir?
So the offensive coordinator watch at Iowa is going to continue because he's supposed to average 25 points a game, and thus far they have scored 24 and 20. So not looking good. Not looking good.
All right, HBCU notes. I'm gonna Yeah, you booked it, so I don't want to hear it. Norfolk State beat Hampton. North Carolina Central beat North Carolina A&T. Jackson State keeps winning, so good for them. Let's jump to the group of five. Conference USA. Liberty's the best team right now, and so what? Uh, the MAC, no big wins this week. Mountain West, no big wins this week. Sun Belt, JMU are a problem, and I still don't think they're able to go to a bowl game yet, but I like what they did. App State will never play North Carolina again. That's the John Thompson rule because you're making me look bad, kid. You're making me look bad. And then our favorite independent is Notre Dame. They're 3-0. I've taken them on a season-long bet. Any group of five team catch your eyes, sir, or we're good to move
I
to
got
Pac-12?
I got nothing. None of them did anything yesterday that made me go, hmm.
Not at all. So now we're in the Pac-12, and if you're a fan of the Pac-12, you're kind of mad right now because Colorado's talking to town, and you couldn't hold on to them. Pac-12 teams are winning games. Washington State's on like a mission. I got to remember that strictly for entertainment purposes only. UCLA is getting wins. Top 10, USC, Washington, Utah, Oregon, Oregon State, and Colorado. The Pac-12 looks like a pretty good conference until they're not. Any thoughts on the Pac-12, sir?
I stayed up and watched a little bit of USC. USC hung half 100 on Stanford in the first half last night. And Stanford's bad. I mean, Stanford is bad, but USC offensively, they're going to be a problem. They are going to be a problem. Now, Utah has had their number. I don't remember when they play, but I think it's at Utah. That's going to be interesting to watch.
Utah was lucky to win. Utah was lucky to win.
That defense is no joke, though. I
Yeah.
mean, Baylor could do nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So that's gonna be interesting when we get there.
All right. And finally, fans, we have made it to the land of football. The SEC, Georgia rolled and will continue to roll because they play absolutely no one this year. So we don't have to spend a lot of time on Georgia until we need to. We were respectful in our preview episode about Alabama. We saw what Alabama was, and they are who we thought they were. They're a very good team, very talented team. They're going to beat most of their teams, but their days of walking in and beating people and everybody being nervous about it is over. Okay. So this is the year in the SEC that the other teams can get in. Okay. Now, what I want to ask you about, Robert, is Texas A&M. What's that buyout again? Because you've got talent, and your talent's been there for a while, and you're still not winning the games you're supposed to win, and these games are on national television. Talk to me about Aggie Nation.
It's really interesting because you still have, last year it was the whole Jimbo Fisher shouldn't be calling plays. You got to hire somebody to call plays. So they hire Bobby Petrino. Okay. So last night they give up 43 points to a Miami team that's not supposed to be very good. So now everybody is wailing and gnashing teeth about, oh, we got to fire the defensive coordinator. And I can't remember, his name's DJ Durkin. I can't remember where
DJ Durkin is
that's the defensive coordinator. I can't remember where he coached previously.
The University of Maryland.
Ah, okay.
And unfortunately, there was an incident with Jordan McNair, and unfortunately, he passed. And it was a heat-related incident that was well documented. And right. I believe DJ went around, and he might even been a part of the Nick Saban rehab kind of assistant coach thing. Again, this is off the top of my head, and that's why I said, "Oh, really?" So I didn't even know he was there.
Yeah, he's there. And so there was a lot of DJ, fire DJ Durkin last night. But the fact of the matter is all of that starts with your head coach. And he's to me, and I am a disinterested observer. I don't care one way about Texas A&M other than I enjoy watching college football. He's not the guy. I don't know who the guy is, but I don't think it's him. And in order for you to get him, you have promised him something in the area of $90 million. And the buyout it ain't $90 million, but it's pretty significant. And so I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to figure that out because, you know, the folks in College Station, they are not happy. They are not happy at all. Let's see. I just did a little quick little Google search, and his buyout seems to be still rolling. Go ahead.
His contract value is $94.95 million. And Robert, it is fully guaranteed. So we want to make sure that he's going to get his money. And if he is fired at the end of this year, it's $76.8 million buyout. Mm-hmm. If he's fired at the end of next year, it's $67.5 million. So, yeah.
His overall record right now is 40-22. He's winning 2/3 of his games. You are paying somebody $95 million to go 8-4 into eternity. Yeah. That ain't gonna work, man. It ain't gonna work.
Well, the top teams in the SEC are the usuals. It's still Georgia. Alabama's still a top team. LSU's a top team. Tennessee is a top team, and I'm sure I am missing somebody, but we're okay. So with that, in segment 2, let's talk Colorado the right way. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast. And Kelly, put up a Colorado something because people want to know. We'll be right back.
The high school and college academic and athletic landscape is changing. The growing number of college transfers, as well as student athletes being able to profit off the use of their name, image, and likeness, has given student athletes the freedom and power to make life-changing decisions. That is why it is important for student athletes to be properly informed throughout the decision-making process. The difference between success and failure is often measured not by yards, but by inches, and even the most successful coaches and players use outside independent consultants to help improve their decision-making, which improves their results. That is what the CKA Save Project would like to do for student athletes across the country, improve their academic and athletic results. Our academic and athletic consulting services assist student athletes with the college decision-making process. The CKA team of former high school and college coaches can provide student athletes an independent assessment of their academic and athletic skills to assist student athletes in their college decision-making process. Let the CKA team evaluate your academic and athletic ability to assist you in finding the right fit for your academic and athletic career. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, there's a couple of stories that have caught my eye over the week, but the number one story in college football is Colorado Buffaloes. And I'm going to tag off shortly to our favorite administrator, Robert, but I want to say on a personal note, we love it. We love Deion. This is outstanding to bring this kind of energy to college football. But slow down, okay? Slow down. So, Robert, what are your thoughts on Colorado being the talk of the town in college football?
I have two things come immediately to mind. First is that, yes, he turned over the entire roster. Okay. And he brought a bunch of his guys from Jackson State with him, including his son.
Yes.
And people were saying, oh, they're not going to be any good. They're going to find out it's different in the big, in the Pac-12/Big 12, wherever, And while that may be true, some of those guys he brought with him were 4 and 5-star recruits who wanted to play for him. That's how they wound up at Jackson State, because they wanted to play for him, and they went to Colorado with him. They've got talent, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that they weren't going to be any good with all that talent, that's a pretty clear miscalculation, I'd say. And I was one of those guys. I'm like, I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very clear they are very talented.
Yes.
And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Can they keep it rolling? I have no idea, but it's a lot of fun. The second thing is, Coach Prime, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And I think people, get caught up in the old primetime personality. But the guy knows what he's doing, and he knows how to coach. He knows how to coach. And again, I don't know how the season is going to wind up for them, but it is highly entertaining, and they have gotten everybody's attention. And
Yes,
I'm
indeed.
I'm all about it, man. I love it.
Yeah. So I want to go to that coaching piece that you mentioned. They have talent, but that talent has to have time to mesh. And that's where I say slow down, because they've just played 2 games together, and they played a team in TCU that was overvalued.
Mm-hmm.
We all overvalued them. They played a team in Nebraska that had an NFL coach, and some of the smartest people in the world, you'll always hear me say this, are defense coordinators. And Matt Rule schemed a very good first half. And they just don't have a lot of talent to keep up whatever they were doing offensively and defensively. But people are watching that, and the people who are watching that are defensive coordinators. And you're now starting to get tape. Starting to get tape on Shador. Starting to get tape on Travis Hunter. And no, he can't keep this pace up all year. That's a physical thing. But he's doing something amazing, and they should be in the Heisman hunt. So now next week, they have to play Colorado State. They've got to blow the brakes off Colorado State, and they've got to have this conversation with Colorado State. We're trying to win some awards, so we're going to hang 70 on you. But we're going to do so as respectfully as possible, but we need to get ready for Oregon. And then they're traveling at Oregon, and that's going to be an incredible atmosphere. I mean, the Colorado State game, man, game day's coming. ESPN's coming. That's going to be a coronation kind of game, okay? And then Saturday, September 30th, 0.5 day in my household, they are playing USC at home, and the time of the game is TBD. So now you got that. So one of those games, they may take an L, but they'll still be in the top 25, because then they travel to Arizona State, and that's good. And then they travel to Stanford. Then Stanford comes. So now we've got another win opportunity that more likely than not they'll win. Then they go at UCLA. Again, that's another primetime type opportunity, pardon the pun. Oregon State are no longer pushovers. Arizona, you should beat them. Washington State, it's not a pushover game. Utah is not a pushover game. So if Deion can get Colorado to a bowl game, give him National Coach of the Year, because Colorado only had 10 passing touchdowns last season, the entire season. So what he is doing is amazing, but slow down. Please allow the process to take place to see how well he can get them. But again, that's not going to happen. And everybody's going to go 0 to 60. I'm locked in too, and you'll see in segment 3, I've put some entertainment stuff on
it. Strictly for entertainment purposes. What was their season win number?
One last year.
No.
For this year?
For entertainment purposes.
I had them winning 5 or 6 at best. I did. And I'm not going to move from that yet, because I'm allowing the process.
If you go off their schedule, I'd say I mean, 8-4 is completely realistic.
Yes, but I'm going to let them play
Eight and
and let
four,
them grow and
eight
go.
and four, and the Holiday Bowl.
No. If they get 8 wins, some money bowl is going to say we have choice of first, second, third, and fourth in the conference, and they're going to pick Colorado first.
The Holiday Bowl, that's a big time bowl game, though, man. San Diego,
And
bowl, that's no
they
joke.
they try to get the on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. They're not going to waste him in San Diego. All right, that was fun. All right, so let's talk about University of North Carolina. The NCAA, shame on you, has denied North Carolina's appeals effort for immediate eligibility for Devontae Walker, a decision that has led to a lot of criticism, including from me. So the school announced the decision less than a week after Walker roamed the sidelines, but now he's not going to be able to play. And this is what I like to call selective enforcement. He transferred twice. This is the second transfer. But in this time period, I would have advised the NCAA not to make their blanket rules about transferring for this season. I would say make those blanket rules for the following season because you're running into some selective disciplinary action. So the NCAA released a statement as everybody was kind of mad at him, discussing the eligibility review process, but declining to talk about a specific case. The Division I Council decided earlier this year, and we covered it, Robert, that multiple time transfers must document injury, illness, or mental health concerns that necessitate the transfer surrounding student athlete safety. Stephen Laporta, James Madison's assistant athletic director for compliance, served as the chairperson of that committee that handled the UNC's appeal. And he said, and quote, for student athletes who transfer for a second time and do not receive a waiver to compete immediately, those resources and support systems are still available as they acclimate to their new schools prior to competing next year. What are your thoughts on the NCAA not allowing this transfer?
I mean, I agree with you 100%. The enforcement looks selective. It looks like they, it's and COVID is still involved. I mean, he was at North Carolina A&T, which is why they're saying he's not eligible, but they didn't play because of COVID. And I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand why they do the things they do. It's like, let's see what dumb thing we can come up with now that's going to make people mad at us. And if he was out of school and he didn't play and you have COVID figured in, he's eligible and let's move on. But clearly we can't do that.
Yeah, and here's where the irritation comes in. And fans, I always have to remind our listeners, at my heart, I'm a social studies teacher. And one of the things we do in education is always err on the side of the student. We want to give grace at every conceivable opportunity we can. So let's talk a little bit about Tez Walker. He was originally set to play at East Tennessee State before suffering a knee injury that led him to defer his enrollment. Instead, he recovered and landed at North Carolina Central, Robert, but it was the COVID season that wiped out the fall season. So he didn't play. The team opted out of limited spring 2021 practice, leading to his move to Kent State. And more importantly, Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director at North Carolina, said both schools supported his bid. So the schools are like, nah, man, go ahead and let this kid play. Let this kid do whatever. And his mental health is an issue because he was set to play with Drake May, who is getting eyeballs on him, which means Walker could get eyeballs on him to secure his future. And more importantly to me, the kid's a Dean List student who's set to graduate in December 2024. So this is a missed opportunity to say, you know what? There's a lot of circumstances that have happened in this young scholar's life, and let us do us a solid. This is not a air quote case of hippity happening and this, that, and the other. This is a case where all of the stakeholders, except one, are all like, let's do this. So this is not like we've heard from some schools being mad and holding back transcripts. Everybody is rooting for the kid. And as we say in education, we're holding on to the kid. So that's a big missed opportunity. But I digress, and fans of the show know how much I care about the student athlete opportunity. This kid's going to graduate, so he's done everything he can by the book, went through the paperwork. His admin support him, his schools are supporting him. Dang, dang, man, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
That's all there is to say. Damn, what are you doing?
You're killing me, Smalls. All right, so to end this segment. And I don't know what's going to happen Thursday when this comes out. We have had a habit on this show, Robert, of anticipating some issues, but Michigan State has found their way, in my opinion, out of a bad contract. One of our running jokes on the show, and it's just that it's a joke, is Mel Tucker being signed to a $90 billion contract. And when he signed the contract, we all on our various times on the show said, don't leave that office until you sign that contract. So that's why we say Mel Tucker is one of the luckiest people in the world, because he's making $90 million and he's not producing $90 million worth of football. So that's where that joke comes from, but this is real life. Michigan State football coach Mel Tucker is the subject of an ongoing university sexual harassment investigation. Multiple sources have stated, and this is now out and public knowledge, and it's all over the ex-Twitter sphere or what have you. Sources did not confirm the complainant's identity, but let us just say, and you can see the name. It is. According to USA Today, the complaint was filed by Brenda Tracy, who is a prominent sexual assault prevention advocate. So she's visited Michigan State and a number of campuses over the years to talk about the effects of, sexual assault on college campuses and so forth, and has done a lot of outstanding work. But it has been alleged that Mel Tucker, who called their relationship mutually consensual and intimate, did some things against his marriage vows, and we'll just leave it at that. And as a representative of a state university, that's where the contract comes in, because this is conduct detrimental to the contract, to your university, and so forth. Robert, this just came across the wire. I don't know how familiar you are because it's not in the initial show notes, but one, did you see anything about it? And two, what are your thoughts as we close out this segment?
I have not seen anything about it. That's the first thing. So if I'm hearing you correctly, he did things against his marriage vows with this person who visits campuses for...
So I want to make sure I get this correct, because I am reading from my notes. So Tracy visited Michigan State in August 2021 and April 2022 to speak to the football team about preventing sexual misconduct, and she was named an honorary captain for the spring game. After the game, Tracy said Tucker called her multiple times and asked her repeatedly to meet with him alone, and even suggested slipping into her hotel room through a back door so no one would see him. Michigan State hired an outside Title IX attorney to investigate Tracy's complaint, which was filed in December of 2022, according to the USA Today. In a March letter to the investigator, Tucker called their relationship mutually consensual and intimate. In statements to the investigator, Tucker acknowledged pleasuring himself on a call, but said the two had consensual phone sex, according to the report. Miss Tracy counters that report and says that is not what the situation was.
So you try to have an inappropriate relationship with someone who is at your school to talk to your team about sexual misconduct.
Correct, sir. According to media reports.
You cannot make that up.
I can't. I did not have that on my bingo card
You
with a $90 million contract.
you cannot make that up. I mean, if they want to be done with him, that's easy. That's like put
So
your
if that came across your
put your
desk as an
keys
administrator,
put your keys on the desk,
put your
sir.
keys on the desk, sir.
Have an exciting and enthusiastic day. We'll see you down the road somewhere.
This is not good, and this is so disappointing. And this is a fire with cause type offense.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah. So with that, fans, when we get back, hopefully that situation is resolved. We're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only, and get ready for week 3 of the college football season on the iCoaches podcast.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Folarin Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. And in segment 3, let's talk strictly for entertainment purposes only. All right, so the OCP top 5, and we're only focused, fans, on the CFP. So it's really a top 4 this week because there's no group of 5 school we're talking about right now. So, Robert, I still have Georgia at 1. I got Michigan at 2. I got Ohio State at 3. And I actually have Florida State at 4. On the outside looking in, I got USC till they lose. I got Oklahoma till they lose. And I got Texas till they lose. And it's really Texas who is right. You know, they're in there. I thought Florida State's victory over LSU kind of said that they're going to win the ACC, where Texas has no margin for error about the Big 12. Any thoughts about your top 4 this week? Would you switch around anybody?
I would take Texas over Florida State because the Big 12 is going to be a better conference, and if Texas can run the table, or even if they get through with 1 loss, I still think that's going to be top 4.
And that's fair.
But can they do that? History, I mean, just, you're talking about a bunch of, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids who are subject to lapses in discipline and performance. And so, no, that
yes,
does not suggest that's going to happen, but I would say right now that they're one of the 4 best teams in the country.
All right. So season-long bets, fans, Clemson over 9.5. They finally got their first victory. Tulane over 9. They got their victory. Maryland over 7.5. They're already 2-0. Texas over 9.5. Yeah, I might not like them, but this is business. They're 2-0. Troy, 1 victory. Notre Dame over 8.5. They already have 3 wins, so let's keep going Irish. Utah over 8.5. They're 2-0. And Tennessee, my dark horse, I think that's going to get me, over 9, and they're 2-0. So last week I was 1-4, and that's 20%. This week I was 2-3, that was 40%, but I'm plus $8.79 because the upset came in. Overall, I'm at 3-12, and I'm down about $25. My picks of the week, I had Houston minus 7.5. I am 0-3 with the spread. How did they get run by Rice? Now I know JT Daniels is there. Okay. Whoop-de-doo. And this guy has been like at 3 schools, by the way.
Four,
But,
four,
what? 4.
four.
And they can't let Taz. Anyway, the over-under didn't work for me. I had Troy under 49.5, so I am 0-3 with my unders. My 2 play, yes, I'm caught in the hype, Robert. I had Colorado minus 2.5 and under 59.5. Big win for me. So since that was a 2 play, that paid a little bit more, so I was happy with that. So I'm 1-2 with that. My 3 play I didn't get because Notre Dame took care of business, Liberty took care of business, and Houston should have beat Rice. Houston should have beat Rice.
I did not see that game. I was shocked at the result because I thought Houston looked really good against UTSA.
And they got games on the NFL Network. So I guess the American has a contract with the NFL Network because I turned the game on like 4th out of things I was watching. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, how's Houston? Why are you down 21-0 to Rice? That's
Yeah.
Rice.
Yeah.
And then my upset was Purdue over Virginia Tech. It's a slight upset, but an upset nonetheless.
Mhm.
So again, you can follow me on @OddCoaches or at CKA Save Project on social media to check out, our picks. So week 3 notable games, Robert. We have Virginia versus Maryland on Friday. I wanted to say that was a notable game because if you're recruiting, you're not going to have a lot of recruits there because Friday's a game night, isn't it? What do you think about college playing Friday night games? Like, what are you doing?
I have never liked that. I think Friday night should be high school football night, but hey, I've said it before, it's all about the Benjamins, right?
Yes, indeed. So TV contract messed you up with recruiting. South Carolina against Georgia, Washington against Michigan State. Now I had that as a game to watch because that's going to be a new Big Ten game.
Mm-hmm.
But now I watched it for all the wrong reasons because I think they're going to have an interim coach at that game, and that's going to draw extra attention.
Yep.
Jiminy
I
crickets.
would agree with that.
Tennessee and Florida. Sorry, Will, but is that the world's largest cocktail party? But they can't
No,
call it that no more.
that's Georgia, Florida. They play
Okay,
that in
all
Jacksonville.
right. BYU is playing Arkansas, so that's Big 12 against SEC, and I'm thinking Arkansas is going to SEC them. Kansas State against Missouri. I think Kansas State's going to beat Missouri. James Madison against Troy. That's a group of 5 game, and James Madison keep winning. We're going to root for James Madison to mess it up because I do not believe they could be in the bowl yet. So if they can run off a lot of wins, get in the top 25, they can continue to make the case of that's a stupid rule and why do you have it? The backyard brawl is Pittsburgh versus West Virginia. And of course, Colorado State versus Colorado. Are there any games for week 3 that's going to tickle your fancy, Robert, or excite your soul? Jermaine Jackson reference.
I mean, I'll probably wind up watching Colorado State because it's Dion. I think Colorado's going to kill them. Colorado State's not very good. James Madison is indeed bowl ineligible this season. However, if they finish over 500, which they will, and there aren't enough teams, 6-win teams to fill all the bowl slots, they could be chosen.
Okay, now that's a good nugget of information.
So they could be, but they're not. Other than that, I mean, BYU Arkansas might be interesting. BYU really struggled not yesterday, but this past week with Sam Houston State, who's pretty good defensively, can't score. Arkansas is not Sam Houston State. So that could get real ugly real fast.
All right. So fans, merch to close the show. Get yourself a CKA or an Odd Coaches Podcast t-shirt. A portion of the proceeds go to buying Find the Balance books for underserved high school student athletes as we attempt to help increase graduation rates and grade point averages. So CKASaveProject.itemorder.com. Super producer Kelly will put that on the screen. And please help us out. Deadline's at the end of September. So again, bye. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, including our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.